Real Showman. It's 8:28.
Actually, being re-released, all proceeds will go towards research into AIDS. Roger Taylor and Brian May are with us. It would be pathetic if the death of Freddie Mercury was left as the death of Freddie Mercury, a few lurid epitaphs, be they on television, be they in newspapers, be they on some other form of film. Got to be something more to it than that. What do you think it is?
There's a lot more, I think. There's a lot more to say. I mean, it's quite amazing still watching that video because and from the amount of love that's poured in the last few days from all over the world, I mean, his life definitely changed the world. And I think his death is already changing the world as well because it's, first of all, we're putting out this record which is a memorial to him, re-releasing the Bohemian Rhapsody thing, and all the proceeds will go to the AIDS charity, Terence Higgins Trust.
It's in fact a double A side, and the other side is a track called Days of Our Lives, which you showed earlier.
That's right.
And they are actually the first and the last videos we made.
Yes.
So, and the words sort of tie in quite well as well.
See, as you talk about the song titles, can I just ask you, The Show Must Go On, I mean, you cannot get a more poignant title than that. Was that actually deliberate? Was there a deliberate nature?
There's a lot of things in a lot of the songs. If you look back now, which you'll find sort of bear some sort of have some sort of bearing on what was going on. Yes, the songs generally aren't about one thing. There's usually different levels in a lot of the songs.
You made a claim just then, and people will ring in. I mean, such is the nature of people. They'll say, "What do you mean he changed the world?" What, you know, that's an extravagant claim to make. How would you defend that? What do you mean?
I mean. I think one of the results of his life can be that people have a different attitude to people being gay. I really hope so. You know, and it's in a way been quite hard for us to talk about it because it was very much his business while it was going on. But here's a guy who was strong, who was incredibly talented, quite magnificent in every way you can think of, and he was gay and was quite public about it. So I don't think anyone can ever quite feel the same about that anymore. I mean, and it's time, God knows, you know. But it shocks me that you still read in the paper, I mean, yesterday there was something in so-and-so admitted he was gay. Now, anybody who writes admitted is guilty of a slur, you know, and there's no reason on earth why anyone should be allowed to get away with that now. So we certainly feel able to sort of throw ourselves behind that now, you know, so it's going to be heteros for gay or whatever it is, you know.
I don't know what it's going to be as well. You think, as a band, everybody who is connected with him, that at least this is the chance for something positive to come out of it.
So much positive can come out of it.
You can do so much.
That's exactly what Freddie wanted in his, especially in his last sort of period. He felt that by making the announcement, he could turn something positive, you know, out of this sort of awful thing that was happening, and we intend to carry that through, and we're thinking of doing something next year, some kind of event, you know, probably in his name, that will be something positive and will raise a lot of money, we hope.
Because it's almost inconceivable, really, thinking of Queen performing without him as the lead vocalist.
Well, yes, it's pretty inconceivable, actually, yeah.
So,
what will happen to you?
We haven't really decided. We haven't really, I mean, we've been quite knocked over by it, as you can imagine, and we haven't really got over the first stages of grieving, I don't think yet.
No.
And we've decided we would shelve all this business of what do we do. First of all, we deal with the situation as it is. And Freddie has given us such a magnificent kind of platform. I mean, we can certainly make money for the AIDS business, you know, with no problem at all. And we can also raise awareness of it, which is definitely happening already.
I know you were saying to me about the record company, everyone has foregone a profit on this.
Yes,
all the money goes.
Donating all of their side as well, so every penny is going towards the Terence Higgins Trust.
Did you ever get a chance to discuss with him at all that you might do this sort of thing afterwards, or was it something that was perhaps quietly accepted?
It was quietly accepted, I think, really. You know, we really tried to keep him company and just, you know, ease his sort of later period, you know.
As Paul Daniels is listening here, were you a fan of Queen and of Freddie Mercury?
Well, no, because I wasn't a fan of any music. I just did put my head down, I should imagine, like you did into music. I put my head down into magic, and all this music business sort of went on at a different level. I'm not the fan, I just like music.
What we can talk about, and it's difficult for you to sit here in this discussion, I know that, but
no,
what we are
I find this really interesting because I only see the public the publicity side of it. You know, I am the public when it comes to the music industry. And the Freddie Mercury bit, as I was discussing to a gentleman outside from EMI, I think, I said that he will defeat the press, ultimately, that do the bad reporting. That will be gone by next week or so. And then some psychic will get in touch with Freddie Mercury and all that rubbish will
you get
start
that
again.
nonsense, yeah.
And you get that nonsense. But you cannot defeat the quality of that video.
Nor his fans. I mean, that's the thing.
And
You
nor
can't-
his fans, who hopefully would stop buying the newspapers that printed the rubbish.
But where I thought, you know, that we can all think about what makes somebody who's different artistically. I mean, we've discussed
Yeah.
the homosexuality, we've discussed it, but I'm still fascinated by where Freddie Mercury came from, because as we were saying earlier, he's a one-off
Nobody
artist.
knows. Nobody
Yeah,
knows.
but I
There's
don't
only
think
one.
I don't think you can say, well, that was created because he was a homosexual.
Well,
I
I'm
think that
certainly
was
not
just
saying
Freddie. No, I think that's just Freddie Mercury, who had an awareness of who he was, where he was at, and he created his own image, as these guys said earlier in the morning. You know, he was his own man, and he knew where he wanted to go.
Yes, he had a tremendous force of personality, and which left a tremendous mark on everybody around him, you know, especially us, obviously.
You were talking about the difference as well between him on stage and at home. That is an interesting part of people who are very often in the public eye and in the music business, isn't it? That you can be a great showman when you're out there, so live when you're on stage at one level, and then walk away from it entirely.
It's a healthy balance to keep, I
Yes.
think. You know, it's a good stage, as Paul would agree, it's a good place to be someone else and work off all the things that you need to do. And then you can go away and be private.
I say it, I think he's a bit like Michael Jackson. Showman, perfectionist, and private.
That's right.
Yes,
Yeah.
very private and,
I'm a perfectionist as well.
yes, very dedicated. And,
You've got to be that. If you're not
Well,
that, if you're not that, you're nothing. You're just another one. I know when you're talking about being off the stage, you're normal. I always used to say, well, if I was any different, my mother would slap my legs. and you've got to have that. You've got to have that common sense balance that says, hey, I'm just a guy.
Yes.
I can do tricks. Freddie could sing.
But the
This
sad
guy
thing
can
that
play
seems
like
to
you wouldn't
him
believe.
was that he didn't have one single person in his life who made him very, very happy.
Well, that hasn't really been reported, you know. I mean, he didn't in fact die alone. He died with a very stable and loving relationship, which people don't see fit to report, you know. They still harp on about... I mean, the only thing which is kind of regarded as legitimate...
He wasn't miserable.
That's
you know,
right. I mean,
which
he's...
has been...
Yeah, so
absolute
it's all
nonsense.
crap. I mean, the proper story has to be told somehow, you know. But, you know, the papers were full of various things which seemed scarcely relevant, you know, about the funeral and everything. But nobody said there were actually, in fact, 3 guys who were very caring, who were with him to the end. You know, nobody mentions that sort of stuff.
And that
you
would
know.
be a great
And
comfort
one in-
to fans who know that he did have
That's
that
right, a
sort of
totally
care.
stable relationship, yes. Yes. I mean, this is contrary to what everybody knows, you know, and it's not for us to, I mean, it's still a private matter, you know, it's not for us to go on about that.
Absolutely.
But just, it's nice for people to know, perhaps, that don't believe any of it, folks, you know.
Yeah, it's really not true. It's
None
also,
of it is true.
we felt it's very irresponsible of some of the newspapers to call AIDS a fashionable disease, because it's not fashionable. It's
horrific.
It's
It's
terrible.
not fashionable,
Can
it's
we
with us.
talk a little more about AIDS? I think, because I think, I know that people at last have been saying this, but let's say it also, you know, this is not something which is just affecting people who are promiscuous, or people that are gay, or people that are this or that, drug users. It's everywhere now, you know, and it's totally irresponsible to suggest that we're kind of safe, because if we're none of these things, you know, our children are going to be incredibly at risk. At the moment, women are incredibly at risk because it's so easily transmittable heterosexually to women. So we've got to be incredibly careful from this moment, you know, and anyone who suggests that it's someplace else and we're still okay, folks, is committing a terrible crime against the rest of us.
Absolutely, and that in a way should be the verbal epitaph, shouldn't it, to Freddie Mercury. Listen, Brian, Roger, we do appreciate you coming in,
Thanks for
talking and
having
putting at
us.
least some of the records
Thank you.
straight. We hope
There's
you...
a lot more to come.
I know there's a lot more. Maybe you'll come in again if you can bear another early morning start.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Musicians hate early morning start. Paul, as ever, a welcome guest.
Thank you very much. And can I equally say that I'm not giving any of the royal family magic lessons, which I read in the paper this week. Thank you.
So setting the record
But now they've
straight.
seen that, they might demand it. So maybe. And good luck with the video, Paul. Daniel's
you.
magic show, the very
The best
highlights of
Highlights, yes.
many
highlights.
years. Thanks for joining us.
Setting the record straight on TVAM, as it's